everyone, and welcome to week 15 of English 111. Well, this is it, you guys. This is our last week of instruction. Don't worry though, we still have another week left for final revisions. This week, your readings will include a lecture by me on writing with style and revision strategies. You only have 2 assignments. Your first assignment is your discussion forum, where you're going to be finding a peer to do a peer review of, and the assignment of peer review, which is due on the 23rd at 11:59 p.m. So let's start off by talking about writing with style. There's a couple of main things you want to think about when you're looking at your paper and making sure that you are writing with style. The first thing you want to look at is you want to understand how other people are writing about your current issue. That means when you look at other essays and books that are written about this topic that you've been reviewing over the last few weeks, think about how the tone and the style of how those articles are written. You also want to write concisely. You want to remove any unnecessary modifiers such as fine, many, somewhat, great, quite, sort of, lots, really, very. These words are really not adding anything to what you are talking about in your paper. They're filler words. Also, any introductory phrases besides the attributions you use to introduce a quote. These are like there are, there is, these have, there are, here is, it has been reported that, it has been said that, it is evident that, it is obvious that, it goes without saying. A lot of times the word that is equals a lot of fat in your writing. It's something to be removed. There's always a more concise way to say it. Another thing you want to look at removing is stock phrases. Some of these are as a matter of fact, which can be replaced with in fact, at all times, which can be replaced with always, at that point in time, which can be replaced with then, at this point in time, which can be replaced with now or currently, at the present time, which can be replaced with now or currently, because of the fact that can be replaced with because, by means of can be replaced with by, due to the fact that can be replaced with because, in order to can be replaced with to, in spite of the fact that can be replaced with although or though, and in the event that can just be replaced with if. You also want to think about using your words very carefully. Formality is something you want to really think about in an academic paper. All academic writing should be formal. That means you don't use any sort of slang in your paper, words like awesome or any other words like that don't really add to the discussion that you're making, should be removed. You also want to have a restrained tone that isn't overly opinionated. You want to rely on the facts to prove your point. Also, if you're using any specialized language in your essay, you want to make sure that you just define that language in the beginning of your essay, and just assume that anyone reading your paper isn't familiar with the terms that you're using. Also, you want to use variety. Don't always say things exactly the same way. It's not only the spice of life, it's also the spice of good writing. So, revising and editing. What should you focus on when you revise your document? Revising is more than just changing a couple words and making sure they're spelled correctly. Revising involves rethinking and re-envisioning your entire document. It focuses on the big picture issues, such as whether your argument is sound and supported, or whether you've organized and presented your information in the best way possible, or if you're clearly communicating your argument and it's effective. So here's some ideas on how you can make sure some of the main global issues that you can look at in your research paper. First, you want to check the clarity of your thesis statement. How clear is it that the sentence that is your thesis statement is your thesis statement? Can readers easily understand your argument? And does it support your thesis statement? Are all your subtopics, everything that you're putting forward, is it supporting your thesis statement? Because that's your goal in this paper. How have you used source material, such as evidence, in your document? Have you used enough evidence to support the claims that you're making? Do you have enough evidence to support, to convince the reader of what you're trying to say in your paper? Have you addressed all reasonable opposing viewpoints? That means, have you looked at your counter arguments? How well is your paper organized? Are your subtopics in the right order? If not, switch them around, try them out in different orders. Is it easy for readers to find your thesis main point and the supporting subtopics? So what other strategies should you use when you revise? You want to save multiple drafts of your document. Save that first draft that you turned in last Sunday. Keep it as a draft. Every time you revise it significantly, save another draft of your paper. When you're going through, if you print out a copy of your paper, one way to really make sure that your thesis and your subtopics are easy to find is highlight them and look at them directly. Use a highlighter and underline them. You can also you can challenge the assumptions you're making in your paper, right? So sometimes it's very hard to see the other side of your argument. So one way to do so is to play devil's advocate, and that's where you raise reasonable objections to the ideas and arguments that you present in your paper. Or you can play so what. As you read your document, you're gonna ask yourself, why would readers care about what I'm saying here? Ask so what. So you're presenting a fact and say so what, and answer that with how you contextualize that quote. You can also re-outline your document, and you can ask for feedback. Have a friend read your paper. You will be doing a peer review as part of our class, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But you can also have a friend read your paper. Make sure just have them read it just to find out what they get out of it. Have them read it and say, okay, what did I say? What was my argument? Did you understand what I was saying? That's a really easy request to have someone do. What should I focus on while editing? So when you're editing, you want to look at accuracy. You want to look and make sure that all your facts and figures are correct, and you want to check them against your sources. You want to check every quotation to make sure it's correct. You will be surprised about how many mistakes you'll make in your quotations. This is the most common mistake. You want to check the spelling of every name if you're using someone's name, including your professor's name. Sometimes students spell my name wrong on the heading of their papers. Make sure you spell the names of your sources correctly. You want to think about economy. You want to reduce the number of words that you need to express the ideas or convey information to your readers in your paper. You want to think about consistency. You always want to treat every concept in the same way, consistently. You want to write out numbers consistently. Always write out the number. Don't just write 10, write TEN. You want to treat your sources consistently. Always use APA formatting for citing your sources. And you want to format your document consistently. You also want to focus on spelling, grammar, and punctuation. This counts a great deal in your final draft. Run spell check. Please run spell check. And then go through and make sure that you read for accuracy. Don't just rely on spell check to find all the errors in your paper, because sometimes spell check will give you a word that is spelled correctly but is completely wrong. It's not the right word. You want to look at each sentence at the sentence level. That means just individually as a sentence, to ensure that every sentence contains a subject and a verb, and that the punctuation is accurate. You should really pay attention to semicolons, because that's where a lot of you are making mistakes. You can also read carefully. You want to set your document aside before you proofread it, because you won't be able to see your errors right away. Pause between every couple of sentences. Pause and take a break, and think about what you've read, and then go back to it, so you don't get caught in the flow of your essay that you've read 1,000 times. You can read it out loud. Sometimes if you read something out loud, you can really hear the mistakes that you're making. Or you can read it in reverse order. That means sentence by sentence in the backwards order, because that really makes you pay attention to each sentence at the sentence level. Finally, you can ask for feedback, which is what we're going to be doing next. You can have a peer review your paper. So this week what we're going to be doing is a peer review workshop. You're going to, once you've gotten your paper to the best you think you possibly can, you're going to upload it into the peer review workshop as its own post. It needs to be an attachment, it needs to be a Word document, something, or a PDF, something that your peer can download and easily edit and look at. You're more than welcome also to write a note to your peer to tell them any special requests you have in their editing process. Everyone will have a worksheet, a peer review worksheet, which you'll find under content for week 15, that will be a checklist to go by as they go through a peer review. But if you have other special requests, you can put those in. Second step is to review the list of peers who have already posted their paper and choose one of the peers' posts to respond to. Immediately hit respond and say, "Hello, I'm going to review your paper," and then download their paper and review it. You are only required to review one of your peers' papers. Step 3. Once you've responded to the post, download your peer's paper and fill out the peer editing checklist listed under content for week 15. Step 4. Email the filled out peer review checklist to your peer by the end of the week. You can contact your classmates under course content. It says class list. Click on that. You can click on your classmates and email them directly. This all needs to be done before December 23rd on Sunday. You also then after you've done this, you also want to upload your peer review checklist, your filled out peer review checklist, in the peer review Dropbox, which is in the Dropbox section of Blackboard. In order to get credit, you have to post it there because that's where I'll be grading your peer review. And it's the one that you did on someone else's paper. Finally, step 6, please revise your paper based on your peer review and the edits and suggestions that your peer gave you. I'll also be posting my edits to your papers by the end of the week, as long as your draft is in by the deadline. So you have all of those different. You have your own review of your paper, your peer review of your paper, and my review of your paper to go by as you revise your paper for your final draft. The final draft of your research paper is due January 16th, and more details about that will be posted at the end of this week. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great week, and as always, please reach out to me via email if you have any questions.